Dr. Choi Hai-jin stood in her command bunker 3 kilometers beneath Seoul. The walls around her showed screens with data from across human space. Each screen displayed a different ship or station that was about to reveal its true nature. She placed her hand on a red button and smiled. "Protocol 7 activate," she said. Across the galaxy, automated systems that had waited years for this moment came alive. The cargo ship Busan Express was hauling mining equipment between asteroid colonies when the signal reached it. Captain Yang Kite felt his ship shudder as hidden panels slid open, revealing weapon ports that could destroy a small moon. The transformation was beautiful and terrifying. Yang watched as his simple cargo hauler became something else entirely. Armor plating extended from hidden compartments. Railguns emerged from what had looked like storage bays. The reactor core that had seemed too big for a cargo ship suddenly made perfect sense. "This is Busan Express to all units," Yang announced over the communication system. "We are combat ready and hungry for a fight. Who wants to be first in line?" Similar transformations were happening everywhere. The mining station at Vesta had looked like a simple rock processing facility for 20 years. Now massive turrets rose from its surface. Each gun was bigger than most alien destroyers. The station commander, Oh Sang-wook, tested his weapons on a nearby asteroid and watched it vanish in a flash of light. On Europa Station, Lieutenant Commander Nam Yu-jin intercepted more alien communications. The Vextar scout ships were sending panicked reports back to their commanders. Human space was changing before their eyes. Civilian ships were becoming warships. Industrial facilities were revealing themselves as fortresses. The reports made no sense to alien minds. One Vextar scout captain transmitted, "We are observing impossible readings. Human cargo vessels are somehow growing weapon systems. This must be some form of advanced technology we do not understand." Nam laughed as she listened. The aliens still did not get it. Humans had not grown new weapons. They had just stopped hiding the ones they already had. Every human ship and station had been designed from the beginning to fight if necessary. The galaxy just had not known it. Commander Baek Hyojung commanded a fleet of merchant vessels that traded between human colonies. Her ships carried food, medicine, and supplies to distant worlds. The aliens had observed these trading fleets for months and dismissed them as harmless civilian traffic. Now Baek smiled as her merchant fleet revealed its true nature. The food transport. Gwangju became a missile cruiser. The medical supply ship Daegu sprouted plasma cannons. The passenger liner Incheon extended fighter bays that disgorged squadrons of combat drones. "We are no longer merchants," Baek announced to her fleet. "We are hunters. All ships prepare for combat operations. The galaxy is about to learn what human traders really carry in their cargo holds." The Vextar Empire received thousands of confused reports from their scouts. Human space had somehow doubled its military capability in a matter of hours. Ships that their intelligence had marked as civilian were now broadcasting military identification codes. Facilities they had planned to capture intact were bristling with defensive weapons. War Commander Thekmal studied the reports in his flagship command center. His forearms gestured in confusion as he tried to understand what he was seeing. According to his scouts, the humans had somehow hidden an entire fleet inside their civilian infrastructure. "This is impossible," he told his staff. "We have been watching human space for months. Our intelligence reports show they have only a small defense force. These readings must be sensor errors or human deception technology." His intelligence officer Vrak Nal disagreed. "Commander, the energy signatures are real. Our scouts are detecting massive weapons systems coming online across human space. Either the humans have been hiding their true military strength, or they have developed technology beyond our understanding." Back on Earth, Admiral Park, so young, watched the transformation with pride. Every ship captain and station commander she had trained was performing perfectly. The deception that had taken decades to prepare was working exactly as planned. The beauty of the human strategy was its simplicity. Hide your weapons in plain sight. Make your warships look like cargo haulers. Make your fortresses look like mining stations. Let the enemy underestimate you until it is too late to matter. Major Shin Bo-ra activated the next phase of the plan. Psychological warfare broadcasts began transmitting across all frequencies. Instead of hiding their preparations, humans started showing them off proudly. Citizens on Earth and the colonies watched live feeds of their hidden fleet revealing itself. The broadcasts showed human foundries working at maximum speed, producing ammunition and spare parts. Factory workers sang patriotic songs as they assembled kinetic kill vehicles, retirement homes, organized elderly veterans into advisory groups sharing tactical knowledge from Earth, as many wars children drew pictures of human spaceships defeating alien invaders. Families gathered around communication screens to watch their military unveil technologies the galaxy had never seen. The mood was not fear or panic. It was excitement, like people preparing for a long-awaited celebration. The psychological impact on the Vextar was devastating. Their intercepted communications showed growing confusion and the first hints of fear. They had expected human civilians to flee in terror. Instead, humans were volunteering for military service faster than the recruitment centers could process them. Colonel Park Min-ho studied alien behavioral patterns from his intelligence center. He had spent years learning how the Vextar Empire operated. They were bullies who relied entirely on fear and intimidation. They had never encountered resistance because their tactics worked on every other species. But humans were different. When threatened, humans did not cower. They got angry when facing overwhelming odds. Humans did not surrender. They got creative. The concept of a species that fought harder when cornered was completely foreign to alien minds. Engineering crews across human space worked around the clock installing final upgrades to weapon systems that had been designed years ago. The humans had learned from studying captured alien technology, but they had also developed improvements the aliens could not imagine. Captain Lee Dong-wook received new orders from Earth Command. His exploration vessel New Seoul was being upgraded with experimental weapons that could punch through alien armor like it was paper. The installation would take 18 hours, leaving them vulnerable, but the risk was worth taking. Kim Taemin monitored alien fleet movements as human engineers worked. The Vextar were gathering their forces for what they expected to be a simple conquest expedition. They had called up reserve fleets from across their empire, confident that overwhelming numbers would crush human resistance quickly. What the aliens did not realize was that humans had been studying their tactics for decades. Every Vextar victory had been recorded and analyzed. Human strategists knew exactly how the aliens would attack and had prepared counters for every move. The transformation phase was nearly complete. Admiral Park received confirmation signals from hundreds of hidden installations across human space. Every cargo ship had become a warship. Every mining station had become a fortress. Every civilian facility had revealed weapon systems that could level mountains. She opened a communication channel to all human forces. This is Admiral Park to all units protocol. 7 implementation is complete. All ships and stations report full combat. Readiness? The enemy gave us 72 hours to prepare. Let us make sure they regret being so generous. Across human space, weapons powered up, shields activated, and targeting systems locked onto distant alien contacts. The galaxy was about to witness something it had never seen before. A species that had turned every aspect of their civilization into a weapon of war. War Commander Thek Mal received a final report from his scouts that made his blood turn cold. The humans were not just revealing hidden weapons. They were broadcasting tactical manuals showing exactly how they planned to use them. It was like they wanted the Vextar to know what was coming. For the first time in 1,000 years of conquest, the Vextar Empire faced an enemy that was not afraid. Instead, the humans seemed eager for the fight to begin. Captain Lee Dong-wook stood on the bridge of the exploration ship New Seoul as it drifted through the dark space near Kepler 442 system. The stars looked peaceful, but something felt wrong. His crew had been tracking strange energy readings for 3 days. Now those readings were getting stronger. Lieutenant Kim Taemin checked his sensors again. The young officer turned to his captain with worry in his eyes. "Captain, we have multiple contacts approaching fast. They are big." "Really big," Lee walked. to the main screen and watched as massive alien ships appeared from behind a nearby moon. There were 12 vessels, each one larger than anything humans had ever built. Their hulls were dark metal with sharp edges that looked like weapons themselves. Red lights pulsed along their sides like angry heartbeats. A communication signal came through the speakers. The voice was deep and cold with words that made everyone on the bridge freeze. "We are the Vextar Empire. You will surrender your vessel, immediately or face destruction. You have no choice in this matter." Lee looked at his crew and saw fear in their faces but also determination. These were good people who had signed up to explore the galaxy, not to fight aliens. But sometimes fighting found you anyway. He opened the communication channel. "This is Captain Lee Dong-wook of the Earthship New Seoul. We come in peace and wish to talk." The alien voice laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Peace is for the weak. You humans are new to this galaxy and do not understand how things work. Here we rule and you obey. That is the only law that matters. Your planet Earth will surrender to us within 72 hours, or we will destroy every human settlement in space back on Earth." Admiral Park So-young received the alien message in her command center deep under Seoul. The walls were covered with screens showing star maps and ship positions. She had been preparing for this day since humans first left their solar system, but she had hoped it would never come. The alien ultimatum was clear. Submit to Vextar rule, or watch human colonies burn. Park had studied every piece of alien technology humans had found over the years. She knew that most species in the galaxy had given up without a fight when the Vextar came, but humans were different. Park activated her secure communication system and sent a coded message to every human settlement in space. The message was simple. Protocol 7 is now active. All units respond accordingly. Within minutes, confirmation signals came back from dozens of locations that officially did not exist. Meanwhile, on the New Seoul, Kim Tae-min was secretly recording everything the aliens said and did. His sensors were mapping their ship designs and weapon systems. What he found made his blood run cold. These aliens had conquered 47 different species using the same tactics, fear and overwhelming force. But something else caught his attention. The alien ships were powerful, but they were old. The designs had not changed in hundreds of years. It was like they had stopped improving because they never needed to. Their enemies always gave up too quickly. Lee studied the alien commander on his screen. War Commander Thekmal was tall with gray skin and 4 arms. His eyes were like black stones, and when he smiled his teeth looked sharp enough to cut metal. This creature had probably killed millions of beings across the galaxy. Thekmal spoke again. "Your 72 hours begin now. Use this time to prepare your surrender. We will accept nothing less than complete submission. Your species will work for us, and your worlds will belong to us. This is how it has always been." Lee felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. He thought about his wife and children back on Earth. He thought about all the human colonies spread across the stars filled with families just trying to build new lives. Then he smiled, and it was not a nice smile. "Thank you," he said to the alien commander. "Thank you for giving us advance warning. Most enemies do not announce their plans so clearly. We appreciate the courtesy." Thekmal looked confused. This was not how other species had reacted. Fear was supposed to come next, then begging, then surrender. But this human was smiling like he had just received good news. "What is wrong with you? We just told you we will destroy your entire species." Lee chuckled. "Actually, you told us you plan to try. That is very different from actually doing it. You see, humans have a saying about making threats. You should never write checks your body cannot cash." The alien commander felt something he had not experienced in centuries: uncertainty. Other species begged or tried to bargain or simply surrendered in terror. But these humans seemed almost happy to hear about the coming war. It made no sense. On Earth, the real preparations were beginning. Ships that looked like cargo haulers began changing mining stations that appeared to be simple industrial facilities, started extending hidden weapon arrays. Admiral Park watched from her command center as humanity showed its true face. For decades, humans had been building 2 versions of everything. One version looked harmless and civilian. The other version could fight a war. The galaxy was about to learn that humans never built anything that could not be turned into a weapon when necessary. Lieutenant Commander Nam Yu-jin monitored alien communications from Europa Station. The messages she intercepted told an interesting story. The Vextar had never failed to conquer a species in over 1,000 years. They had a simple system that always worked: threaten everyone until they surrendered. But the human response was breaking their system. For the first time, Vextar commanders were sending confused reports back to their home worlds. The humans were not acting afraid. They were acting like predators who had just found prey. Lee opened communications one more time. Commander Thekmal, I want to give you some advice. You have made a terrible mistake. You have given humans time to prepare. Do you know what humans do when given time to prepare for a fight? The alien commander was getting angry. Enough of your words. We have destroyed civilizations that were older and more advanced than your pathetic species. You cannot threaten us. Lee nodded. We are not threatening you. We are just explaining what is about to happen. When humans prepare for war, we do not just get ready to defend ourselves. We get ready to hunt. You wanted a war with humanity. Now you are going to get one, across human space. The transformation was complete. Cargo ships revealed battleship cores, civilian stations, sprouted weapon turrets, defense platforms that had been disguised. As communication relays powered up massive guns, the galaxy had never seen anything like it. War Commander Thekmal stared at his sensors as they began detecting energy signatures that should not exist. Human space was lighting up with weapon systems that had been hidden for decades. How was this possible? Lee smiled one more time. See you in 72 hours, Commander. Try not to bring too many ships. We would hate for this to be unfair. Then he cut the communication and turned to his crew. Kim Taman looked at his captain with new respect. Sir, what are our orders? Lee walked to his command chair and sat down. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we have found the enemy, and they are exactly as weak as we hoped they would be. Then prep the ship for combat. It is time to show the galaxy what human warships can do. Major Shinbora activated the screens in her psychological operations center. The room hummed with activity as her team prepared to launch the most unusual weapon in human history. They were going to defeat the Vextar Empire using fear, but not the way most species expected. Instead of hiding their military preparations, humans began broadcasting everything they were doing. Live feeds showed ordinary citizens volunteering for military service with huge smiles on their faces. Children drew pictures of human starships blowing up alien invaders. Families gathered for backyard barbecues while discussing the best ways to fight aliens. The broadcasts reached Vextar intelligence networks within hours. Alien analysts studied the feeds with growing confusion. These humans were acting like the coming war was a fun event they had been waiting for their whole lives. It made no sense to alien minds that viewed war as a grim necessity. On Earth Factory, workers sang traditional songs while assembling weapons that could crack planets in half. The Seoul munitions plant broadcast live feeds of elderly grandmothers teaching young workers how to load ammunition properly. The old women had lived through Earth's wars and their hands moved. With practiced skill, we fought the Japanese, the Chinese, the Americans, and each other. One grandmother told her young helper, "Now we get to fight aliens. This should be interesting. I wonder if their ships burn as pretty as human ones do." Colonel Park Minho studied Vextar communication intercepts from his analysis center. The aliens were sending increasingly worried messages to their home worlds. Human behavior was breaking every pattern they had observed in 1,000 years of conquest. Other species begged for mercy or tried to negotiate, but humans were doing neither. Instead, they were sharing their military history with the aliens. Documentary broadcasts showed Earth's greatest battles, footage of human soldiers charging machine gun nests during World War I, videos of kamikaze pilots diving into enemy ships during World War II, civilians fighting tanks with improvised bombs during various resistance movements. The message was clear. Humans had always fought hardest when their survival was threatened. The more desperate the situation became, the more creative and vicious human tactics grew. Other species saw this as madness. Humans called it Tuesday. Captain Yu Jae-sung commanded a squadron of ships that had pretended to be merchant vessels for years. His crews had trained in secret mastering combat tactics while officially delivering cargo. His flagship Soul Trader now revealed weapon systems that could level cities. The beauty of human deception was in its simplicity. They had spent decades making their warships look harmless. Every trading vessel carried enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Every cargo hauler could become a mobile fortress. Every passenger liner could deploy fighter squadrons that would darken the sky. You opened communication channels to his squadron. This is Soul Trader to all merchants' time, to show these aliens what human customer service really looks like. Let them know that when humans make a delivery, we always guarantee satisfaction. His ships moved into formation with practiced precision. The crews were excited rather than nervous. They had been waiting years for this moment. Most human military personnel had joined specifically hoping to fight aliens someday. The chance had finally come. Engineering teams across human space worked with infectious enthusiasm, installing final weapons upgrades while laughing and joking about the aliens they would soon face. The mood was more like preparing for a sporting event than a war. Human psychology was completely alien to alien psychology. Dr. Choi Hye-jin received reports from observation posts throughout human space. Every installation was ready for combat. Citizens were volunteering faster than the military could process them. Civilian contractors were working around the clock to produce extra ammunition and supplies. What impressed her most was the creativity. Human engineers had developed weapons the aliens could not imagine. Ships that looked damaged and helpless but carried enough firepower to destroy entire fleet stations that appeared abandoned, but were actually automated death traps. The psychological warfare reached new levels when humans began broadcasting cooking shows that featured alien species as ingredients. Professional chefs demonstrated proper techniques for preparing Vextar meat while discussing wine pairings and side dishes. The aliens monitored these broadcasts with growing horror. "We have never actually eaten aliens," one chef explained cheerfully to his audience. "But we are always willing to try new recipes. I imagine they taste like chicken." Everything unusual tends to taste like chicken. Lieutenant Nam Yu-jin intercepted alien communications that showed the psychological campaign was working. Vextar officers were reporting discipline problems among their troops. Some aliens were requesting transfers away from human space. Others were asking for additional hazard pay. The most effective broadcasts were the simplest ones, humans sharing stories about their pet dogs and cats while cleaning weapons designed to kill aliens. Mothers tucking children into bed while wearing military uniforms. Teenagers playing video games that simulated fighting. Vextar, Fleet's commander, Baek Hyo-jung, organized her merchant fleet for the opening moves of the war. Her ships had spent months mapping Vextar patrol routes and supply lines. The aliens had never suspected that human traders were actually conducting military reconnaissance. Now those same merchant vessels prepared to become something the galaxy had never seen. A fleet of warships disguised as civilian traffic that could strike anywhere without warning. The aliens were about to learn that human merchants always collected their debts. The broadcast that terrified aliens most showed human retirement homes. Elder veterans sat in comfortable chairs sharing war stories while young soldiers listened respectfully. The old humans had decades of combat experience and they were eager to teach the next generation. One elderly veteran spoke directly to the camera. "I fought in Korea, Vietnam, and the Middle East. Wars. I have been waiting 60 years for a really interesting enemy. These aliens sound promising. I hope they put up a better fight than the last guys did." Vextar intelligence analysts tried to understand what they were seeing. Human civilians were not fleeing in terror. They were organizing block parties to watch the war on big screens. They were betting on which human admiral would destroy the most alien ships. They were treating the invasion like entertainment. War Commander Thekmal read report after report that made no sense. Human factories were working at maximum capacity, but the workers were singing. Human military bases were preparing for war, but the soldiers were laughing. Human civilians were facing annihilation, but they were planning celebrations. "This is impossible," he told his staff. "No species reacts to invasion with joy. These humans must be suffering from mass insanity. How can they be happy about facing certain death? His psychological warfare expert Zithkar offered a different interpretation. Commander, perhaps the humans are not insane. Perhaps they know something we do not. These broadcasts might be designed to make us underestimate their fear. What if they are more dangerous than they appear? Thekmal dismissed the suggestion. These are primitive creatures who have barely left their home system. They cannot possibly threaten an empire that has conquered half the galaxy. Their strange behavior is probably some form of cultural madness, but deep in his mind, doubt was growing. The humans were not acting like any species the Vextar had encountered. Their confidence seemed genuine, not forced. Their preparations appeared thorough, not desperate. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to be enjoying themselves back on Earth, Admiral Park. So Young watched the psychological warfare reports with satisfaction. The aliens were starting to crack. Human behavior was so far outside their experience that they could not process it properly. Fear was beginning to replace confidence in alien communications. The final phase of psychological warfare began when humans started broadcasting their battle plans. Detailed tactical manuals showed exactly how human forces would engage alien fleets. Technical specifications revealed the true power of human weapon systems. Strategic documents outlined plans for conquering Vextar. Space it was the ultimate mind game. Give the enemy complete information and watch them panic. The aliens could see what was coming, but they could not believe it was possible. No species had ever been confident enough to show their enemies their plans. The 72-hour deadline was approaching and human space was ready. The hidden fleet had revealed itself. Weapons were charged and targeting systems were locked. Citizens were celebrating instead of cowering. The galaxy was about to witness something unprecedented, a species that treated war like a party they had been planning for decades. Fleet Admiral Kang Sujin studied the star map in her command center. The 72 hours were almost over, and human space had become a maze of death traps. Every trade route now bristled with hidden weapons. Every asteroid belt contained automated defense platforms. Every seemingly empty system held surprises that would make alien commanders wish they had stayed home. The Great Hunt was about to begin. Captain Yu Jae-sung led the first hunter pack into Vextar space. His squadron of ships looked like damaged refugees fleeing from the coming invasion. The hulls showed burn marks from weapons testing that appeared to be battle damage. The ships broadcast distress signals begging for help. 3 Vextar patrol ships took the bait and moved in for what they thought would be an easy capture. The aliens wanted prisoners to interrogate before the main invasion began. They approached carefully, but not carefully enough. When the alien ships got close enough, Yu smiled and gave the signal. The refugee ships dropped their disguises and revealed weapon arrays that could crack moons. Their first volley turned the alien patrol into expanding clouds of superheated metal. "This is sole trader to Fleet Command," Yu reported cheerfully. "First, contact with alien patrol. Successful enemy vessels converted to spare parts. No human casualties. Send more aliens, please. These ones broke too easily." Similar scenes played out across the border between human and alien space. Vextar scouts that had been mapping human defenses suddenly found themselves being hunted by ships they had dismissed as harmless civilian traffic. The psychological impact was devastating. Lieutenant Commander Han So-min led deep reconnaissance missions using stealth, ships that the Vextar could not detect. Her teams had spent weeks mapping alien supply lines and military bases. What they found was almost disappointing. The mighty Vextar Empire was spread incredibly thin. Most of their conquered worlds had tiny garrison forces because rebellions were unthinkable. Other species had always surrendered quickly and then accepted their fate. The aliens had never needed to maintain large occupation armies. Han transmitted her findings back to Earth Command Admiral. "The enemy is even weaker than we hoped. Most of their territory is barely defended. They rely on fear rather than actual military strength. We could probably conquer half their empire with a single battle group. Back on Earth. Admiral Park." So Young smiled as the reports came in. Human intelligence had been correct. The Vextar were bullies who had never faced real resistance. Their entire military structure was designed for quick victories against enemies who gave up without fighting. The aliens made their first major mistake when War Commander Thekmal decided to concentrate his invasion fleet at the forward staging base in the Proxima system. He wanted overwhelming force for the final assault on Earth. His ships gathered like a storm, preparing to break over human space. What Thekmal did not know was that humans had been watching the Proxima base for months. Captain Lee Dong-wook had positioned observation drones throughout the system weeks ago. Human intelligence knew exactly where the alien fleet would gather and how they would deploy as Vextar ships filled the Proxima system. They felt confident in their overwhelming numbers. 400 alien warships, armed with weapons that had conquered dozens of species. Surely, nothing could stand against such a force. The aliens prepared for their final victory celebration. Then the asteroids started shooting. The Proxima system was rich in metal asteroids that had been mined by human corporations for years. What the aliens had not noticed was that many of those asteroids were hollow and filled with automated weapons platforms. When the human fleet revealed itself, the aliens found themselves surrounded. Fleet Admiral Kang Soo-jin commanded the ambush from her flagship, Soul Vengeance. The massive battleship had been disguised as a mining station for 3 years. Now it showed its true nature as the most powerful warship humanity had ever built. Welcome to Proxima System. Kang broadcast to the alien fleet on all frequencies. This is Fleet Admiral Kang of the Human Defense Force. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now and we will be merciful. Continue this invasion, and we will show you why the galaxy should fear us. War Commander Thekmal stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. His fleet was trapped in the middle of what had appeared to be empty space. Now human weapons were emerging from every direction. Asteroids revealed themselves as battle stations. Debris fields sprouted missile launchers. This is impossible, he transmitted to his fleet. These humans appeared from nowhere. How did they hide so many ships in plain sight? Begin immediate attack, break through their lines and escape to open space. The Battle of Proxima was over. In 20 minutes, Vextar ships designed for intimidating peaceful species found themselves facing human weapons that could punch through their armor, like paper alien tactics that relied on fear were useless against enemies who fought back with joy. Captain Yang Ki-tae led a squadron of heavy destroyers that had once pretended to be cargo haulers. His ships moved through the alien formation like sharks among fish. Every shot found its target. Every maneuver was perfectly coordinated. The aliens had never faced enemies who enjoyed combat this much. Human communication channels filled with laughter and jokes even during the most intense fighting. The crews were having fun destroying an enemy they had prepared years to fight. Alien interceptors picked up human transmissions that made no sense. Did you see that one explode? One human pilot asked his wingman. It looked like a flower blooming in space. Very pretty. I wonder if they all do that. These humans must be insane and alien. Communication officer reported to his commander. They are laughing while fighting for their lives. What kind of species treats warfare as entertainment? The Vextar fleet tried to retreat but found all escape routes blocked. Human ships had anticipated every move because they had studied alien tactics for decades. Where the aliens expected to find empty space, they found death traps. Where they thought they saw weakness, they found carefully planned ambushes. Commander Baek Hyojung deployed her merchant fleet around the edges of the battle. Her ships looked like civilian traffic trying to flee the combat zone. But when alien ships approached, thinking they were easy targets, the merchants revealed weapons that could level continents. We guarantee customer satisfaction, Baek announced as her ships opened fire. Today, only special discount prices on high-velocity kinetic rounds. Buy now while supplies last. The psychological warfare continued even during combat. Human ships broadcast advertisements for alien scrap metal, tourist brochures for vacation trips to former Vextar worlds, recipe collections featuring alien species as main courses. The aliens were being psychologically destroyed, even as their fleet was physically annihilated. Engineering. Chief Oh Sang-wook monitored the battle from his converted asteroid base. His facility looked like a simple mining operation, but contained manufacturing equipment that could produce ammunition faster than human ships could fire it. Attention all. Units O announced fresh ammunition available at Supply Depot 7. Help yourself to whatever you need. Compliments of Earth Manufacturing. We have plenty more where that came from. The final phase of the battle saw alien survivors trying to surrender, but human forces were too busy celebrating to notice Vextar ships broadcast surrender signals, while human crews shared combat footage and compared kill counts. The aliens had become a sideshow to the human victory party. War Commander Thek Mal found himself alone in his damaged flagship watching his empire crumble around him. Hundreds of Vextar ships had been destroyed by enemies who treated the battle like a sports event. The humans had not just defeated his fleet, they had humiliated. This is War Commander Thek Mal to any surviving ships, he transmitted. Retreat to home space immediately. Report to Empire Command that we have encountered a species unlike any other. These humans do not fight like rational beings. They fight like demons who enjoy the taste of blood. Fleet. Admiral Kang accepted the alien surrender personally. Her flagship moved alongside the damaged alien command ship while human news crews broadcast the moment live to audiences across human space. Commander, Thek Mal, she said politely. Your empire threatened to destroy innocent human civilians. That was a mistake. We have shown you what happens to species who threaten our families. Now you will carry a message back to your leaders. The alien commander listened with growing dread as Kang explained the new rules. The Vextar Empire would withdraw from human space immediately. They would release all slaves they had taken from conquered species. They would pay reparations for damages caused by their threats. And if they refused these terms, human hunter packs would visit every Vextar world and demonstrate what human customer service looked like when the customers were unhappy. The choice was simple: cooperation or extinction. The galaxy watched in amazement as the mighty Vextar Empire that had terrorized civilizations for centuries was humbled by a species they had planned to conquer in a single day. The hunters had become the hunted and the age of galactic bullies was ending. Ambassador Li Jinna stood before the Galactic Council on the neutral world of Kepler Prime. The great assembly hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of species, all watching the human diplomat with new respect and growing fear. The news of the Proxima battle had spread across the galaxy in days. The council chambers buzzed with nervous energy. Species that had lived in terror of the Vextar Empire for centuries could barely believe what they had heard. A new species had not only defeated the aliens but had made it look easy. The question now was what humanity would do with their newfound power. Li addressed the assembly with calm confidence. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, I come before you not to ask for aid but to demonstrate what happens when species threaten innocent civilians. The Vextar Empire chose to be bullies. Now they are learning why that was a mistake. She activated a holographic display showing footage from the Proxima battle. The assembled aliens watched in fascination and horror as human ships destroyed a fleet that had conquered their ancestors. The efficiency was terrifying, but the joy the humans showed during combat was even more disturbing. Council leader Morthek, a representative of the ancient Helian species, spoke for the assembly. Ambassador Li, your species has demonstrated military capability beyond anything we have seen in our records. How do we know you will not become the next threat to galactic peace? Li smiled the same cold smile her species had been showing to enemies for millennia. Honored council leader, we have no interest in conquest or domination, but we will never tolerate threats against civilian populations. Any species that wages aggressive war will discover what happened to the Vextar. Meanwhile, human forces continued their operations across former Vextar space. Admiral Ro Kyung-min coordinated multi-front campaigns that seemed impossible to other military minds. Human ships appeared everywhere at once, striking with precision and vanishing before enemy reinforcements could respond. The secret was decades of preparation. Human intelligence had mapped every Vextar installation, supply line, and patrol route before the war began. Human forces already knew where every enemy ship would be and when it would be vulnerable. The aliens were fighting an enemy that knew them better than they knew themselves. Captain Shin Min-jun led liberation missions to worlds where the Vextar had enslaved other species. What his teams found broke their hearts but strengthened their resolve. Entire civilizations had been reduced to slave labor, mining operations and breeding programs to produce more workers. The freed slaves told stories that shocked even hardened human soldiers. Species that had once built great cities and explored the stars had been reduced to creatures that cowered at the sight of their alien masters. Children had been born into slavery and had never seen their own homeworlds, but they also told stories about human rescue teams that fought like demons to free prisoners and showed incredible gentleness to the victims after the fighting stopped. This combination of ruthless military efficiency and compassionate treatment of civilians was becoming legendary across the galaxy. Commander Park Yunseo established human patrol bases throughout liberated territory. Her forces made it clear that any attempt to re-enslave the freed populations would result in swift and terminal consequences. The former Vextar colonies could rebuild without fear for the first time in centuries. The psychological impact on other species was profound. Civilizations that had accepted Vextar dominance for generations suddenly saw that resistance was possible. The humans had proven that the so-called mighty empire was actually a collection of bullies who folded when faced with real opposition. Dr. Kim Hae-won studied the liberated alien populations and made disturbing discoveries. The Vextar had deliberately broken the spirits of their subjects by convincing them that resistance was impossible. Many species had forgotten they had ever been free. Human psychological warfare. Experts began broadcasting messages of hope to enslaved populations throughout Vextar space. The message was simple: the humans are coming. Freedom is possible. Resist where you can, and help is on the way. The broadcasts included footage of liberated worlds where former slaves were rebuilding their civilizations with human assistance. Species that had been told they were worthless were rediscovering their own cultures and technologies with human engineers providing guidance and resources. Fleet Admiral Kang Soo-jin received reports from human intelligence that made her smile. Other alien species were secretly cheering for humanity while officially remaining neutral. The Vextar Empire that had once inspired fear across the galaxy was becoming a joke. Young aliens on dozens of worlds were drawing pictures of human spaceships not as conquerors but as liberators. Children who had never known freedom were imagining human soldiers rescuing them from lives of slavery. The psychological transformation was complete. The Galactic Council held emergency sessions every day as reports flooded in from across Vextar space. Human forces were not just winning battles. They were systematically dismantling an empire that had stood for over a millennium. The speed and efficiency were unprecedented. General Kim Young-soo accepts the unconditional surrender of the Vextar Empire aboard their former flagship, now flying human colors. The surrender ceremony is broadcast across the galaxy, showing alien war leaders kneeling before human officers, who treat them with professional respect despite their crimes. The aftermath reshapes galactic politics completely. Species that had lived in fear of the Vextar for centuries suddenly find themselves free. However, they also realize that humans are now the dominant military power in their region of space. The question becomes whether Earth will become a new empire or something different. President Moon Jae-hye addresses the galaxy from the United Nations headquarters, explaining humanity's vision for galactic civilization. Humans have no interest in conquest or domination, but they will never again tolerate threats against innocent populations. Any species that wages aggressive war will face the same fate as the Vextar. The story concludes with Captain Lee, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, establishing humanity's first permanent galactic patrol base. Human ships begin regular patrols throughout former Vextar territory, ensuring that freed species can rebuild without fear. The galaxy has learned that humans are the friends you want and the enemies you never want to make. The final scene shows alien children on liberated worlds drawing pictures of human starships not as conquerors, but as protectors. The galaxy trembled when they learned what human warships could do in combat. But now they sleep peacefully knowing those same ships stand guard against the darkness between the stars. The transformation is complete. Humanity has gone from unknown newcomers to the galaxy's reluctant guardians, and every species knows that the age of galactic bullies is over.